Hi guys and welcome to thrustzone.com. This is Mohit Soni here, and what you are looking at is the Kawasaki Ninja 400 for the year 2023. Launched around September-October last year. We finally gotten our hands on it, put almost 400 kilometers on it, and 350 something like that. And we've done, as always, we are really as you can imagine with the tone of my voice, we are really excited as always about the Kawasaki Ninja 400 because it's a very special motorcycle. When it was revealed the very first time, and the Kawasaki said that it's going to be for Japanese market only, but then it came to the Indian market and then it went to the US, and we were really excited to see it. But at the same time, our excitement died down with the price. At 5 lakh rupees ex showroom, and with Maharashtra's extra taxes, it almost bounced up to almost 6 lakh rupees on road, which is a lot of money for a 400cc. Despite it's a twin, despite it is quite feature loaded in many ways, it just doesn't appeal. The reason why I'm telling you all this story and not diving into the review, because the 400 has always been a story. It's not about the product, because the product has already proven itself, and that is the reason why I'm telling you the background story behind it more than the review. And that's what the video is going to be about, because over the previous time when we test drove the Kawasaki Ninja 400, it is also one of our most popular videos on YouTube. It garnered a lot of attention. It was still some people who could actually, or couldn't resist the temptation, went ahead and bought it, and they're still very happy with this motorcycle. So the Ninja 400, like I said, has proven itself, but there have been updates to the 22-23 version, and let's have a look at them, because after all, this review has to be practical. And what you can see here is the new headlamp design, which is very ZX10R. You have finally got, let me on it, LED lights on it. The illumination and spread is okay. The throw could have been better, and Kawasaki can still work on that. You've got turn indicators mounted on the fairing. Again, a very mini ZX10R look. It's also, of course, got a lot of cues from the Ninja 650, because that's what it's inspired from. The platform sharing is done there by a large extent, and that is the reason why it's very expensive, and that's what you see in the silhouette. Again, I will be jumping to the story part more and the review part less, because like I said, again, at the tail lamps, very in the ZX10R, like huge exhaust, which is very let's say teenage friendly, because once you see this exhaust, it just reminds you of the days from the past, or if people who are of teenage age right now, they'll really love it. Again, pedal disc, black alloy wheels, green stripes. This lime green color always looks brilliant, and you've got this new sticker here for the E5 and E10 fuel rating. The instrument cluster remains the same. We're happy to see an analog digital, but the fonts and the layout is a little old school and could have been changed. We are waiting for a major update on the Ninja 400. The switch gear is the same. There is no hazard light button as well. There are no connectivity features as such. You've got a clip-on, very premium key, and the very premium keyhole here as well. Surprisingly, it's not mounted here. As you can see, there is some space to do that, but I'm sure that's coming in the next update whenever that happens, because as always, nobody knows when a new Kawasaki is coming. No spy shots, nothing whatsoever. Directly one day there's the launch. So yeah, again, really like the motorcycle. What I don't like is the 650 platform inspired ergonomics. You sit way too much inside the bike, and that doesn't inspire me to ride hard and fast. What it makes me do is ride it sedately. I feel very comfortable and very cocooned, and I just feel relaxed all the time. I did a Bombay Pune run in it and back, and I was just surprised that I'm not tired while coming back home. I noticed that in the Ninja 650 as well. So comfort, excellent. Pushing it hard, you will have to make sure that you will be doing a lot of body positioning from here and there when you're attacking corners in this ergonomics. I think that is what the bike is. In short, the feature list is pretty much the same as before. As you can see, once again, digital speedometer will show you all the fuel efficiency parameters and everything. There's no USB. I think that will be an optional extra Kawasaki will give you. And got pedal disc at the front. Most important part, a link based monoshock suspension. This is not mounted to the swing arm, so this makes it a very premium aspect of the motorcycle, because the handling just becomes much better. The stability overall in every single way becomes much better. And yeah, let's jump to the riding part. In the past, it used to make around 50-52 bhp of power, but as soon as the emission norm started kicking in, it is now in the same league as the KTM RC390. That is a single cylinder motor making 45 bhp and 35 newton meters. This makes 47 bhp and 37 newton meters, so it's around the same ballpark. Surprisingly, the Ninja 400 is lighter by 4 kilograms over the KTM RC390. So I guess the 400 has its potential here, but in terms of power to weight ratio, and it shows because straight line performance is downright brilliant. You've got ample torque to amble around in the city below 6,000 rpm. Once you hit 7,000 rpm and go above and reach the 12,500 rpm mark, it just keeps on pulling non-stop, and it can do 170, 180 once you start redlining it on an empty stretch. And like I said, low end torque is fine, mid range is good, top end is downright excellent. The engine at the same time is very smooth, not entirely smooth. There are vibrations once it starts to reach between mid range and top end, but as soon as you reach the absolute top end, there aren't many vibrations on the motorcycle through the engine. A bit on the foot pegs, slightly on the tank, but they are negligible, and that's me just pointing it out to tell you that that's what you should expect from this motorcycle. Of course, this motorcycle is slightly abused, so if you are going to be the sole owner of the motorcycle and riding it nicely with perfect timings and comes to oil changes, I don't think that will also happen, because I feel this motor is still the same how it was back in the day. Very smooth, very refined, sounds amazing. It's got that rumble from the parallel twin. Intake and exhaust note is both very fighter jet inspired as always. This is what I've been saying for Kawasaki for almost a decade now, and I'm very glad that I can say it about, because despite the emission norms, the sound decibels going down, the way the engine mappings have changed, Kawasaki with their engineering prowess has made sure that it continues to what it is. The character is still being maintained, and that is very important, and Kawasaki has achieved that really well. The gearbox smooth, the clutch is super light. It is a very easy bike to ride in the city. The handle is very light. Surprisingly, there is a lot of feedback despite the omission of upside down forks. At this price point, while when it comes to powertrain and power to weight ratio, the KTM RC390 may be slightly behind, but KTM excels at the amount of equipment that is on offer, and it all is, and that is the reason why the comparison always happens, because the KTM RC390 is the benchmark when it comes to price to performance ratio, and Kawasaki also needs to work on that aspect. But with the very sophisticated rear monoshock that you get on this bike, I think that is something that the KTM does not have. And what that does is, with the upside down forks and with this old chassis setup and suspension setup, it still feels a little soft. That makes ride quality excellent. Dealing with bad roads is easy. Ground clearance is just about okay, but it's just the handling that doesn't feel very confident. It doesn't, the side to side turns when you take on a ghat, which you usually see in the Bombay-Pune run, where you get a lot of twisties. So side to side isn't that smooth. You'll have to keep the revs high, and then it becomes dramatic because the speeds are also higher and it's making a lot of noise. So I think the chassis needs to be upped a little bit. Even with my weight, of course, rear suspension always feels a little softer than usual, but this one feels a little bit more softer. I'm sure if I can up the suspension, it will feel better. The ground clearance will get better. The seat height will go higher. But then again, that is not the point. We need the right balance, and I think Kawasaki should achieve that on their own. Even with the suspension up back in the time when I did up it up, it did provide a good feeling, but I said seat height goes up, and ride quality becomes stiffer, ground clearance becomes better. So there are good and bad points as always with everything. Apart from that, the tires as always not that impressive. They do just about okay, so that I don't recommend a tire change. If you want to have more fun with it, you're welcome to change the tires. And the overall Ninja 400 as a package doesn't appeal, but it's just the riding, the way it rides, the character that is had, the design it has, the way the design, anything nowadays as flashy as this grabs serious amount of attention. Back in the day it did not. Now it does, because everybody's looking out for something very different, and that is why the 400 fits the bill, right? But then again, for serious and mid-level enthusiasts, this is not the right upgrade, or not the right choice for them. They need to go to the 650 mark. But for somebody who's taken a 100 to 150 200cc motorcycle and is truly in the premium space and doesn't want that extra power and torque, and wants a very nice 350 400cc motorcycle, that's where the Ninja 400 starts making sense. There are a lot of people, and we always recommend that culture where price is, if you have the budget, do not jump to a bigger motorcycle. Find something that you can spend the same amount of money on or less amount of money and get something more accessible, something, you know, in the 350 400 space after coming from 150 200 or 250. And that is where the 400 excels. We've always told you that, you know, follow that pattern, and the 400 does that just right, and that is why we are always praises about the Ninja 400. There is the KTM, but then again it's a little bit more aggressive. Despite it has been tamed down to a very large extent, the Ninja 400 comes across as a motorcycle that will feel like, I'm driving I'm riding a 250, but then you open the throttle, you realize, yes, it's got that extra power and torque. So clearly impressive motorcycle. Kawasaki needs to localize this platform. Kawasaki needs to localize the 400 to make things better. They still have an advantage. They need to get that dominant position. They have to localize this motorcycle, and when that happens, they will have the volumes that they're looking for every day with their old motorcycles, and they don't need to create anything new. And that is an advantage that Kawasaki should use to themselves, and we can't wait for that day to happen. Until unless, this is the story and the review of the Kawasaki Ninja 400. Again, as you can imagine, it's a very special motorcycle to me personally, and I can't wait to spend more time with it. I'll put a story on the website. I'll put some content on social media. So subscribe, follow us there. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.